The world had barely stopped talking about Phillies Karen when the story took a sharp turn. That single foul ball, once destined to be a fleeting memory, became a weapon in a digital morality play. The moment the woman snatched the ball from 10-year-old Lincoln Feltwell, the internet seized the narrative. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. Within hours, Blowout Cards, a major trading card company, threw down a $5,000 offer. Return the ball, write "I'm sorry" in your own handwriting, and regain a fraction of dignity in public. Suddenly, a simple baseball became more than leather and stitches. It was a symbol of accountability, shame, and the unpredictable consequences of a viral moment. And yet, Philly's Karen did not respond. No apology, no Instagram post, no public statement. Her silence transformed her from a fleeting antagonist into a legend of the internet, a cautionary tale for anyone daring to cross a child's joy. Fans, reporters, and social media users dissected every frame of the footage, speculating on her identity, her motives, and whether she would ever accept the offer. Meanwhile, Drew Feltwell, the father at the heart of this storm, was forced to navigate a new reality. A father's instinct had been captured on live broadcast to protect his child, to prevent a public confrontation. Yet the internet's appetite for drama turned him into a character in a story he never asked to join. Every decision, every hesitation, every smile became fodder for commentary, memes, and moral debates. But the story wasn't just about the individuals involved. It became a reflection of society's fascination with public outrage. From TikTok to Twitter, Reddit to Instagram, the footage spread like wildfire. Commenters became amateur detectives, piecing together blurry screenshots, analyzing gestures, and cross-referencing social media profiles to unmask Philly's Karen. Entire communities engaged in a collective hunt, turning the incident into a full-blown viral investigation. By now, the stakes were higher than ever. The ball, once caught by a loving father for his son, was now a symbol of power in the digital age. The $5,000 bounty offered by Blowout Cards was no longer just an incentive. It was a public test of accountability, morality, and the human response to pressure under a microscope watched by millions. Online communities escalated the story into mythic proportions. TikTok edits gave her the aura of a comic book villain. Music swelled as she strutted away with the ball, transforming a few seconds into cinematic drama. Twitter hashtags like hashtag Protect Lincoln and hashtag Philly Karen trended nationally. Memes proliferated, comparing her to infamous viral figures from history, while Lincoln became the symbol of innocence under siege. Reddit boards evolved into investigative dashboards. Commenters sifted through frames, noting details as trivial as the pattern of her shoes or the angle of her hand as she snatched the ball. Some speculated she was a teacher, others claimed she had attempted to disguise herself. The collective detective work bordered on obsessive, with users documenting theories, posting side-by-side comparisons, and even debunking possible misidentifications. Meanwhile, media outlets ran analysis pieces, debating the ethics of the incident. Should a child's joy override adult entitlement? Was Drew's decision a model of parenting wisdom or a cautionary tale about yielding too easily under pressure? The discussion crossed into cultural criticism, exploring how social media amplifies outrage and reshapes the consequences of minor public acts. As the days passed, corporate interest intensified. Philly's management attempted to provide redemption for Lincoln, showering him with signed memorabilia and public gestures of goodwill. Blowout Cards' $5,000 challenge added a bizarre twist. The internet, once an observer, now had a tangible leverage point over Philly's Karen. Fans debated whether she would comply. Would she accept the money and public forgiveness, or maintain silence and risk permanent infamy? The story spread internationally. Clips were shared in Europe and Asia, sparking conversations about sportsmanship, parenting, and the ethics of internet shaming. A single ball, once a trivial object, became an agent for global discussion. Meanwhile, Drew and Lincoln navigated the surreal experience of being viral subjects, balancing personal emotion with public scrutiny. Drew's earlier decision, intended to preserve a joyful memory for his son, had inadvertently made him a moral focal point, the good dad archetype under pressure. Commentary evolved from outrage to reflection. Cultural critics and sports analysts noted the historical continuity. From Steve Bartman in 2003 to Phillies Karen in 2025, a pattern emerged. The stands, once private spaces of play, had become stages for viral judgment, and every spectator risked unexpected scrutiny. Throughout this period, Phillies Karen remained a silent figure. Each day of silence intensified the mythos, fueling speculation, memes, and theories. The $5,000 offer remained unclaimed, the internet's bounty unwatched, yet constantly debated. Her inaction was not passive. It was narrative fuel, transforming her from antagonist into a legend of moral ambiguity, a character defined more by collective perception than individual action. By the time a week passed, the story had evolved far beyond baseball. Lincoln had received signed memorabilia, a World Series experience, and public recognition. Drew's reputation as a thoughtful, calm father had been solidified among supporters, even as detractors criticized his decision to surrender the ball. And Phillies Karen? She became an enigmatic figure, immortalized online, her every hypothetical choice dissected in real time. The $5,000 challenge still lingered. Would she return the ball with an apology, reclaiming a fragment of dignity? Or would she continue to let the internet define her legacy, embracing the notoriety of silence? Every new share, meme, and comment added weight to her decisions, illustrating the modern power of virality. The story of Philly's Karen had already gone viral, but as the days passed, it became clear that the impact wasn't confined to social media or sports commentary. It had spilled into the realm of societal reflection, forcing conversations about morality, privilege, and human behavior in public spaces. The incident, once a fleeting baseball moment, became a lens through which millions analyzed themselves and their own reactions to conflict. Parents debated endlessly. What would you do if your child's joy was threatened by someone else's entitlement? Social media feeds were flooded with similar stories, tales of children losing out on minor victories, of adults prioritizing ego over empathy. Each story reinforced the public's fascination with the moral clarity of innocence versus the ambiguity of adult decision-making. Drew Feltwell's decision, intended to protect his son from embarrassment or a screaming match, became emblematic. His hesitation, captured so vividly on live television, highlighted a subtle truth. Sometimes doing the right thing is not straightforward. Meanwhile, Philly's Karen became more than just a viral antagonist. She became a cultural symbol. In some circles, she was cast as a cautionary tale about entitlement and selfishness. In others, she became a case study in the modern dynamics of fame, shame, and anonymity. What did it mean, people asked, when a single act, the snatching of a baseball, could trigger a global reaction? Could one person truly be villainized without context? The discourse blurred the lines between justice and spectacle. Psychologists and social commentators weighed in. They explained the psychological mechanisms that drive online outrage, the thrill of collective judgment, the dopamine of calling out perceived wrongdoing, the emotional satisfaction of moral alignment in public spaces. Social media, they argued, amplifies and accelerates reactions in ways previously impossible. Within hours, What once might have been a local altercation escalated to a national morality play. Everyone watching, they said, was participating in a digital experiment, a test of empathy, fairness, and ethics played out in millions of living rooms simultaneously. The $5,000 bounty added a new dimension. It transformed an emotional and ethical debate into a tangible, real world test. Suddenly, Philly's Karen's actions were no longer just morally scrutinized, they were monetarily incentivized. Would she redeem herself for cash? Could money absolve social judgment? Or did it risk turning morality into a transactional spectacle? Fans argued endlessly. On Reddit, some claimed the offer was an ingenious form of digital justice, a way to balance the scales while maintaining a sense of control over the narrative. Others criticized it, suggesting that monetizing apologies trivialized ethics and rewarded poor behavior. At the same time, Lincoln's story became a counter narrative, the child as symbol of purity, joy, and resilience in the face of adult selfishness. Clips of him holding the ball, first in his glove, then reluctantly surrendered, circulated endlessly. Commentators emphasized his small stature and wide-eyed innocence, casting him as a hero in the collective imagination. The internet, relentless as ever, constructed a mythology around him, the pure heart at the center of a viral storm. Every smile, every hesitant look, every whispered quote he gave to reporters was dissected, celebrated, and immortalized. Cultural critics noted the historical parallels. From Steve Bartman in 2003 to the woman in the Phillies jersey in 2025, a pattern emerged. Minor public events are now instantly global, judged by millions with zero context and immortalized in digital eternity. The stakes of small actions, they concluded, had grown exponentially. One misstep in public could define personal legacy forever. The narrative expanded beyond sports. Educators debated how such incidents could be used to teach children about conflict resolution, empathy, and public behavior. Media literacy experts highlighted the ways viral moments blur reality and perception, stressing the importance of critical thinking when engaging online. Families discussed how parenting now exists under a microscope, where every decision, however small, could be recorded, replayed, and analyzed worldwide. Finally, the fourth block explores the human fascination with mystery. Philly's Karen's silence became part of her persona. With every day she stayed off social media and avoided interviews, speculation intensified. Was she hiding out of shame, embarrassment, or was she deliberately cultivating the mythos, leaning into her new identity as a viral enigma? Whatever the reason, the internet loved her more for what it could not know than for what it could. Each unanswered question fueled memes, videos, and articles, creating a feedback loop of fascination, outrage, and obsession. In the end, the story transcended a single event. A foul ball had become a mirror reflecting society's collective anxieties, values, and curiosities. It asked, how do we measure right and wrong? How do we respond when someone challenges innocence? And ultimately, what is the cost of virality in a world where a single act can ripple across millions of screens in seconds? The social echoes of Philly's Karen were far from fading. Instead, they deepened, reminding everyone that the smallest moments could carry the heaviest consequences, especially when witnessed by a world hungry for narrative, morality, and spectacle. In a single incident, the boundaries between personal choice, public scrutiny, and digital storytelling were blurred. A child's fleeting disappointment became a global phenomenon. Parenting decisions became a national debate, and a simple home run ball, once an innocent object of play, became a fulcrum for culture, ethics, and the collective imagination. The lesson was clear. In the age of social media, a few seconds of action can create a lifetime of consequence. A moment intended to be private is rarely so, and while some participants are immortalized as heroes, others are branded as villains, their narratives shaped not by actions alone, but by the perception of millions. The story of Philly's Karen is not over. The ball, the apology, and the $5,000 offer remain symbolic questions of accountability, power, and human behavior under observation. And as the internet watches, debates, and invents its own narratives, one thing is certain: the next viral scandal could erupt anywhere, anytime, and a simple object, a baseball, a phone, a tweet, could trigger a storm of consequences that no one is fully prepared to control. The stage is set, the characters are defined, and the final act, whether redemption, silence, or confrontation, has yet to unfold.